I am a 5-year breast cancer survivor this month. That's exciting because doctors tell us at 5 years, it means you are less likely for the cancer to come back. And as I celebrate, I'm also taking action to change a deadly problem. The latest research from Komen Kansas City revealed that Wyandotte County has one of the highest breast cancer death rates in the country. In 2015, more than 28% of women who were diagnosed with breast cancer in Wyandotte County died. That's 1 in 4 women, and it's higher than the national average, which is just over 22%. Consuelo Ross is on the ground in Wyandotte County trying to convince women to get mammograms. She is president and founder of Surviving the Odds. And Consuelo, thanks so much for being here.
Certainly.
Let's get right to it. Why are so many women dying of breast cancer in Wyandotte County?
I think it's just a gamut of disparities, of barriers, whether it's the lack of insurance, lack of transportation. There's certainly a lot of resources, but the education behind the resources is lacking as well.
So it's a financial issue,
Yes.
And language barriers as well.
Yes, there are some language barriers because of the different ethnic groups in Wyandotte County and not having organizations that really relate to those different ethnic groups. So language barriers is actually one of them as well.
So women are coming in and they're getting diagnosed in the later stages of breast cancer. What does that mean?
Well, that means that they've come into a diagnosis at the stage of 3 or 4. Those later stages makes it less likely to survive the disease. And it also means that they are not getting their annual mammograms, which makes a huge difference when you talk about early detection.
Early detection is very important.
Yes.
Now, we're doing Newsom's house calls. We're actually going door to door. I want to show you a clip now. There's a story that's airing tonight on 41 Action News at 5 o'clock. I made a house call to a woman in Wyandotte County. Even though her mother is a breast cancer survivor, Valerie has not had a mammogram in several years. And here's what she told me.
And I didn't go because I was scared. And I was like, what if they do tell me that I have breast cancer? What am I going to do then? So I just kept putting it off, putting it off.
Now, she eventually agreed to get a mammogram and got one that day. And we're going to have much more on her story and her results coming up at 5 o'clock. But as you listen to her story, that fear that she expressed, that's another reason.
It is, and actually when I was diagnosed, I didn't go out of fear. My mother was she was diagnosed with stage 4 with triple negative, and I knew because I had that first generation contact there that I was going to be diagnosed at some point. So it is fear. And the education, I can't say that enough. If you know what you're dealing with, if you know how important it is to get those annual screenings, it kind of dissolves the fear aspect.
One thing I tell women is don't be afraid of being diagnosed with breast cancer. No one wants that. But once you are diagnosed, and if you're diagnosed early, then the chance of survival is so much greater. So there's almost needs to be an urgency of at least finding out so you can have a fighting chance.
Well, yeah, because then you know how to progress. You know what you need to do. You know exactly what kind of tumor you're dealing with. You know what your treatments can be. You know what your survival can be based on what kind of treatment you choose to do, whether it's mastectomy, double mastectomy, radiation. There's all kind of resources you just need to know in advance.
All right. We want to hear more about your story. You're going to be our guest at 9 a.m. tomorrow in our home, Newsom's House Calls. You're coming to our home. You're going to share more about your story, and we're going to tell women why they shouldn't be afraid and really try to empower them. So if you know someone who, is not getting their mammograms, have them definitely click on the KSHB Facebook page, and they can be involved in a live chat, ask you some questions, find out more about Surviving the Odds. Thanks so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.